Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Christina and today is going to be my Pan in Every Palette series update for February. There isn't a huge amount of progress to share with you guys, but I figured again just to kind of get me going and to share what we were doing. I figured we just go ahead. I also have a ton of eye looks already to share with you, so those will all be included. I'm really excited about a lot of these eye looks, so yeah, let us just go ahead. Let's get into this. So the Pan in Every Palette series is again something I just recently started. It's where I'm taking all of the palettes in my collection that don't currently have any pan in them, and I'm rolling them into this project, picking a shade of my own choosing, and then working on it until I hit pan on it. I will be sharing how often I used the shade in the last month, and I will also be sharing eye look photos so you guys can see how I'm using it. I took a good many photos, and I'll probably be doing voiceovers to explain like what is used in this look, because I don't think I did individuals. I just took like overall look shot, so there will be voiceovers for these. Let me know if you ever want to see me do any of these looks. I don't tend to always be able to, I'm not always able to just sit down and do my makeup, so that might just be too difficult for me. So hopefully the voiceovers work really well. But yeah, that is what we're gonna be doing. Let's go ahead, let's jump into these three palettes. So the first palette that I want to talk about is the Zulu palette. This is from Juvia's Place, and it's a very, very colorful palette. It's the first Juvia's Place palette that I ever bought, and I've had it for a while now, and it doesn't have any pan on it. As you can see, these pan sizes are absolutely humongous. So it really is going to take a while anyways, and I honestly haven't reached for this palette very much in the last year before putting it in this project. So the shade I picked was this pink shade, which on camera it almost looks like there is pan. That's just like a lot of reflect in the shadow. I promise there's no pan. You guys will be seeing a close-up of it. I only ended up using it 4 times. And the majority of those times, I believe I used it as a blush topper and a lid shade at the same time. So I double dipped essentially in the shade a lot. There is a nice sizable dip in it, and it is kind of like cracking on the edge. I don't know if these shades like dry out or anything, but it is kind of looking funky on the side. So hopefully it doesn't crumble on me, because I'm gonna be really, really upset. As both a blush topper and a lid shade, this is absolutely stunning. It's just such a pretty shade. Like, oh, it's so soft to do. Like, look at that. Look at that reflect. It has a pink to gold kind of reflect to it. It's just such, like, look at that. It's such a stunning shade that I'm really glad that it's in this project. I have eyeshadow on my hands now. Help. Again, it's just such a stunning shade that I'm really glad that it's in this project, and I'm excited to get a lot more use out of it. I'm very curious to see how many uses it's going to take me overall to hit pan on it. But starting out with 4 uses isn't a huge metric ton of anything. So we don't have a really good gauge going right now. So I'm hoping going forward I will use this a lot more and we can start seeing a little bit more movement in it. But for now, I am very happy that this is still in the project, or in the project in general. It's been 1 month, Christina. Chill out. The second palette that I used or rolled in is the SophX palette from Makeup Revolution, and the shade I ended up picking was a purple shade, which I said it in a previous video that the purple looks this month were just going crazy. I mean, I'm wearing a freaking purple look again today. Pink and purple looks were my thing. Probably largely in part to, these shadows. The SophX palette I ended up using, is that right? 3 times. I feel like I used it more than that, which is this purple shade right here. It is a shimmer shade technically, but I found that I could use it really, really well on my eyes just as a outer V shade, which is usually how I ended up using it. You guys will be again seeing this in photos later on in the video. I used it as an outer V shade. It's not like super reflective. It almost reads more as a satin shade when you swatch it. It looks like a shimmer, but it doesn't really translate as a shimmer to me. So I find it's a little bit more versatile and a little bit more forgiving because of that. These shades I feel like have slight hard pan in them for me, so I had to scrape a good bit, and it did have a lot more fallout than I was really happy about. I've ended up having to learn to just do my eye look first a lot of times, which again is hard because I don't have a ton of time to do my makeup. So sometimes it's a bit of a bummer because I would prefer to have my base and my eyebrows and all of that done over just my eyeshadow done. So I've had to kind of change the way I get ready in a lot of ways, which you guys probably completely understand. But yeah, that had a lot of fallout, and it's not the most blendable, maybe because it's supposed to be a shimmer and I'm using it as an outer V shade. It wasn't like the best at like creating nice depth and like cohesiveness, but I do still enjoy it. I think it's a really pretty color, and I'm going to continue using it because I do feel like I can hit pan on that one. Because it had hard pan, I had to dig a little bit more. So I could see why people are saying they're pretty easy shades to hit pan on. So I'm just curious to see how much movement I can get going forward. Seeing that I only used it 3 times and I can already see like a dip started, makes me feel pretty decent. And then third and final shade that I ended up putting into this project is the Storybook Cosmetics Little Briar Rose palette. And the shade I picked was this shade down here. This is Thorn, and it's like this muted mauve-y dusty color. It's just really light, pretty. It's a beautiful transition color, which is how I used it. I ended up using this shade 6 times, and 5 out of those 6 times it was definitely used as like a transition shade in a majority of my looks. It's almost like non-detectable because it's just a transition shade, but regardless I ended up using it. For this one being the one I used the most, this one shows the least amount of movement at all. I feel like these shades are going to be incredibly hard to hit pan on. So that's good to know. I don't see a dip, I don't see anything, and I like really tried to go in on this shade a lot of the times too, because I was like, oh, well, it's really light and forgiving, I can just go in. And I thought I would have a lot more to show you guys, and I don't, which is surprising and upsetting. The one other time out of the 6 times that I said I used it, 5 was for a transition shade. The one other time I tried to use this as a blush. Just because this is the shade of a blush does not make this a blush. I've learned it did not work as a blush at all. It came off so patchy and so hard to blend. It was just such a mess. So I did not do that again. That was actually, it was one of the first things I tried doing with it, because I was like, oh, I can get so much use out of this if I use this as a blush. Just because it looks like a blush and talks like a blush does not make this a blush, very clearly. But yeah, did not, don't do that. 10 out of 10 don't recommend. It'll have to be going forward as a transition shade. I'm hoping to see some more movement for this next update, because right now it is very frustratingly stagnant looking in there, and I used it. I promise I used it. I used it the most out of all of these shades, and I really enjoyed it. It's a beautiful shade. It blends really well. It's very sheer, very easy to work with. I enjoy it. So I'm hoping to, you know, keep going forward with it, and we'll see some more movement. Because I'm doing these updates so close to the intro, I'm hoping the next one we will see a lot more uses and a lot more movement just in general, just kind of to get us on track going forward. And that, guys, is the entire update for that pan in every palette. I know this is a little shorter. There's only 3 shades in this, and again, it is so close to my intro. I didn't film it that long ago. I'm just trying to get on a better schedule with it now going forward, since I started it a little later in the year. But again, since there will be more time in between this update and my next update, I'm hoping we see a good bit more. Before I close out this video though, I'm going to include all of the eye looks that I did with these palettes this month. There were, you know, not too many uses with some of them, but again, there were probably, I think voiceover is what I'm doing for these, so you will be hearing, you know, future Christina talking over this now. And let me know down in the comments what your favorite look was, and if you have any ideas for a cool look that you would like to see me do, leave those in the comments as well. Here we have look number 1. This was the first one that I did in February after I did the intro. And in this look, I used 2 of the shades. So going to the outer corner, I actually used the shade Thorn, which is from the Storybook Cosmetics palette. I used that in the outer V through my crease as a transition shade. It's kind of hard to notice in a lot of these photos because I put it down first as a transition shade and really blew it out. So like I said, I used that shade a lot, and it's not even too noticeable, which is why I thought I would make more progress, because I was able to really pile it on and it still be kind of non-noticeable. But yeah, it wasn't really that great. In this look, I also used Thorn on my cheeks, and it looks a little patchy to me, especially in this second photo. I think you can see it's just a little patchy on my cheeks, but then also in this second photo you can see on my lid I used the Juvias Place palette on my lid, which I think is just, that shade is just so pretty. So that is look number 1. Moving into look number 2, I actually didn't do anything on my eyes, but I did use the Juvias Place palette on my cheeks in this look, so I took a photo of it for that reason. Moving into look number 3, again, I used Thorn as a crease transition shade, which again, it is super not noticeable. And I also used the Juvias Place palette as a lid shade, again, in this one. Again, I just really liked it. It pairs really, really well with my Dream Street palette. Look number 4, I ended up using Thorn as a transition shade and a outer V shade, which isn't as noticeable, but I also went in with the SophX palette for this look too in the outer V, which again, this photo is not great at showing it. I didn't take very good photos of this look, unfortunately, but that is what I used in that one. Look number 5, I just ended up using Thorn as a transition shade, and it's once again not noticeable at all in that look. Like even in the zoom in ones, it's like, where is it? But I swear she's there. Look number 6, I also used Thorn here, but I also used the SophX purple in the outer V for this one, and I think this is one of my favorite looks that I did in February. I just love the periwinkle, which that lid shade is from the e.l.f. Bite Size Acai one. I can't say that. That was what was used in that look. And then the last look that I ended up doing for the month of February, look number 7, I ended up using all 3, I believe. I'm pretty sure I used Mixed Berries, Thorn, and the Juvia's Place palette in this look. Juvia's Place was on the lid, Mixed Berries was on the outer V, and on the inner corner, that little like line that I drew on my inner corner just for a little detail was the SophX palette, and then Thorn was again used as my transition shade. So all in all, pretty happy with how often I was used. Actually, one of these, I feel like I said Thorn one too many times, so maybe I didn't use it in one of those looks. I can't remember now. I needed to be better about writing these down instead of trying to go off memory. But yeah, hopefully you guys liked this voiceover, and let's get back into the rest of the video. All right guys, that was all of the eye looks. That is all of the updates that need to happen with these shadows, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy the video, definitely make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Also hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. I upload on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so I do upload a good bit throughout the week. I don't want you to miss out on any of those, and remember, there's always magic to be found, and I hope that means I see all of you in my next video. Bye!
Alright, ooh baby, just hold tight. We're up in the moonlight, believe in the magic. On side, we'll make it feel just right. Just look at that bright light, believe in the magic.